The gym trainer shakes his head in disgust. "Come on, old man, stop being such a weakling and push through the pain like everyone else here." 56-year-old Sergeant First Class Michael Torres grips the rehabilitation equipment tighter as younger. Men around him snicker and exchange looks, clearly amused by his struggle with what they consider basic exercises. His prosthetic leg hidden beneath loose sweatpants shifts uncomfortably as he steadies himself, while his mind flashes back to the day an IED blast in Iraq took his limb and 3 of his closest friends. What this veteran reveals next will silence every person in that gym and remind you that true strength comes from surviving what others can't imagine. If stories of hidden courage inspire you, hit that subscribe button and share in the comments about someone who showed you what real resilience looks like. This hero's truth needs to be told. Michael had been coming to Iron Peak Fitness for 3 months following his doctor's orders for physical therapy. The VA hospital recommended this civilian gym because their rehab center was booked for 6 months. He never mentioned his military service or explained why certain movements caused him visible discomfort. He simply worked through his prescribed exercises while trying to rebuild strength in muscles that hadn't worked properly since Fallujah. A muscular 20-something named Brad, who seemed to live on protein shakes and ego, had been watching Michael's sessions with growing irritation. Today he decided to make his frustrations public entertainment. Brad announces loudly to the packed evening crowd that some people just don't have what it takes to get serious about fitness. Brad walks over to Michael's station and taps the weight setting on his machine. He declares that most guys Michael's age can handle at least twice this resistance without breaking a sweat. Several gym members pause their workouts to watch the confrontation, phones appearing as the situation becomes social media worthy. A group of college athletes working out nearby starts paying attention to Brad's commentary. One of them suggests that maybe Michael should try a senior center instead of a real gym. Another adds that it's embarrassing to watch someone give up so easily when the rest of them are pushing their limits every day. Brad continues his performance by demonstrating the exercise Michael was struggling with, completing it effortlessly while explaining that proper motivation and mental toughness can overcome any excuse. He suggests that Michael's problem isn't physical but psychological, a weakness of character that prevents him from achieving his potential. Michael tries to continue his workout, but Brad isn't finished. He tells the growing audience that he's seen this pattern before with older clients who expect special treatment instead of putting in real effort. He claims that Michael probably wants everyone to feel sorry for him instead of holding him accountable for his obvious lack of commitment. A woman doing cardio on a nearby treadmill joins the conversation, saying that her grandfather is 72 and can outwork most people half his age. She suggests that Michael's problem is mental weakness disguised as physical limitation. Her comments draw approving nods from several other gym members, who have stopped their exercises to watch the drama unfold. Brad decides to escalate by offering to personally train Michael right now, promising to show everyone what real coaching looks like when dealing with someone who makes excuses. He challenges Michael to attempt a simple squat exercise, claiming that anyone with genuine determination should be able to complete at least 20 repetitions without difficulty. The college athletes start counting loudly as Michael attempts the squats, their voices dripping with sarcasm and amusement. By the 7th repetition, Michael's prosthetic leg begins causing him visible trouble, but he continues pushing through the pain while trying to maintain his balance and composure. Brad stops the exercise and announces to everyone that this pathetic display proves his point about mental weakness. He tells Michael that quitting after 7 squats shows a lack of character that probably extends to every area of his life. The crowd murmurs in agreement, some recording videos while others shake their heads in disapproval at Michael's performance. A middle-aged businessman on the rowing machine speaks up, saying that he's been working out for 20 years and has never seen someone give up so easily on such a basic exercise. He suggests that Michael should find a hobby more suitable to his limitations, like chess or reading. Instead of wasting everyone's time at a serious fitness facility, Michael wipes sweat from his forehead and looks around at all the faces staring at him with judgment and contempt. For a moment, the gym fades away and he's back in the dusty streets of Fallujah on March 15, 2005. He can smell the burning metal and diesel fuel. He can hear Rodriguez screaming from underneath the overturned Humvee. He can feel the heat from the flames licking at his face as he drags Wilson away from the wreckage. Brad senses the crowd's bloodlust and decides to deliver a final blow. He tells Michael that real men don't make excuses when facing challenges. They find ways to overcome obstacles through sheer willpower and determination. He adds that Michael's attitude represents everything wrong with his generation. People who expect participation trophies instead of earning genuine achievements. The woman on the treadmill agrees enthusiastically, saying that her generation learned to push through adversity without complaining or seeking sympathy from others. She declares that Michael's weakness is probably the reason he never accomplished anything significant in his life. A pattern of giving up when things get difficult. Michael stands up slowly and looks directly at Brad. His voice is quiet but steady. When he tells Brad that he lost his right leg below the knee to an improvised explosive device while serving with the 3rd Infantry Division in Iraq. The gym begins to quiet as his words sink in, but Brad scoffs and claims that everyone has sob stories and excuses for their failures. The college athlete who suggested the senior center laughs and says that if Michael really lost his leg in combat, he should be proud to show it off instead of hiding behind baggy clothes and self-pity. He challenges Michael to prove his claims by showing everyone his supposed prosthetic leg. Michael looks around the gym at all the skeptical faces and realizes that half-truths won't silence the mockery. He sits down on a nearby bench and slowly rolls up his left pant leg first, revealing a normal limb covered in scars from smaller shrapnel wounds. Then he rolls up his right pant leg, exposing the titanium and carbon fiber prosthetic that extends from just below his knee to an artificial foot. The gym falls completely silent. Brad's confident smirk disappears as he stares at the prosthetic device that Michael has been exercising with for 3 months without complaint or explanation. Several people put away their phones, suddenly uncomfortable with their recorded mockery of a disabled veteran. Michael's voice grows stronger as he begins to tell them about March 15, 2005, how his squad was conducting a routine patrol through a residential neighborhood in Fallujah when their lead Humvee triggered a buried explosive device. How the blast flipped their vehicle and trapped Rodriguez underneath, while enemy fighters opened fire from surrounding buildings. He describes running through automatic weapon fire to reach the overturned vehicle, finding Rodriguez with both legs crushed and Wilson unconscious with a severe head injury. How he dragged Wilson to safety first, then went back for Rodriguez despite the continuing gunfire and the smell of leaking fuel that threatened to ignite the wreckage. The crowd listens in stunned silence as Michael explains how he was pulling Rodriguez free when a second eye exploded just 15 feet away. How the blast threw him backwards and filled his right leg with shrapnel while Rodriguez bled out in his arms. How he applied tourniquets to his own wounds and continued coordinating his squad's defense until reinforcements arrived 20 minutes later. Brad stares at the prosthetic leg, finally understanding that Michael's struggle with squats had nothing to do with mental weakness. The businessman on the rowing machine looks at his hands, unable to meet Michael's eyes. The woman on the treadmill has stopped exercising entirely, tears forming as she realizes the cruelty of her words. Michael continues his story, explaining how doctors at the military hospital in Germany tried to save his leg for 6 weeks before deciding that amputation was necessary to prevent life-threatening infection. How he spent 8 months learning to walk again with a prosthetic limb. How Rodriguez's wife and 3 children attended his medical retirement ceremony because Rodriguez never made it home to see them again. The college athletes who had been counting his squats with mockery now stand in respectful silence. One of them quietly apologizes, but Michael shakes his head and explains that apologies aren't necessary. He tells them that Rodriguez died at 24 years old, never getting the chance to struggle through a workout or face the everyday challenges that healthy people take for granted. Michael stands up and demonstrates the squat exercise again, this time explaining how the prosthetic limb affects his balance and creates pressure points that cause significant discomfort. He completes 15 repetitions while describing the specific adjustments required to maintain stability with an artificial leg. The gym members watch in awe as they finally understand the magnitude of his daily physical challenges. Brad approaches Michael with tears in his eyes and offers a genuine apology for his ignorance and cruelty. Michael accepts the apology gracefully and explains that he doesn't expect special treatment, only the same respect that every person deserves, regardless of their physical abilities or limitations. The woman from the treadmill comes over and asks Michael about his service in Iraq. He tells her about Rodriguez's dream of becoming a police officer in his hometown of San Antonio, about Wilson's plan to finish college and become an elementary school teacher, about the 3 local children who were killed in the same IED attack that took his leg and Rodriguez's life. As Michael prepares to leave the gym, the entire facility has transformed from a place of mockery to one of respect and understanding. Brad offers him free personal training sessions designed specifically for amputee athletes. The college athletes ask about volunteering at the local VA hospital. The businessman inquires about donating to veteran support organizations. Michael gathers his belongings and heads toward the exit, but pauses at the door to address the crowd one final time. He tells them that Rodriguez taught him that true strength isn't measured by the weight you can lift or the miles you can run, but by your willingness to sacrifice for others and keep fighting when everything seems hopeless. The next week, Iron Peak Fitness starts a special program for disabled veterans, with Brad leading the initiative after completing certification in adaptive fitness training. The college athletes begin a fundraising campaign for prosthetic research, and Michael continues his rehabilitation, now surrounded by people who understand that his 7 squats represent more courage than their hundreds ever could.